You're on the air.
Domino's Pizza, where specials tonight are 2 large, 2-topping pizzas with a side of cheesy wings
Just a second.
and stuffed
Just
bread
a second.
sticks.
Hey, wait a second. You called me.
Oh, I'd like a small thin crust with big chunks of salami.
This is not Domino's Pizza.
Oh, my bad.
From KOYR Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's Arcade Radio.
Hello, Commander. Computer reporting.
Intruder alert, intruder alert. Stimulating opponent.
Welcome to the premiere episode of the Arcade Radio podcast. Today is October 27, 2016, and it is now 8:17 p.m. Central. Thanks for joining us in the Arcadosphere. This is your host, Dr. K. I'm joined by the legendary Dan Reed and our first guest, Mr. Tim Wilsie. Hey guys, how's it going?
Going well. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is like awesome. It was the first episode, Arcade Radio podcast. Thanks for being on the show, Tim. Dan, we made it.
Mm-hmm.
We're streaming it. Oh, beep, beep, beep. I already blew it. Sorry, guys.
You just got done telling us.
I know.
Let me check my notes about what not to say.
Right.
iTunes will never let me on, will they?
Nope. It's over. Your career is over with before it started.
I think what I'll do is beep that, and maybe we can move on. So, anyway, good to hear you guys. What's new with you guys? Dan, tell me what's going on. Don't give me the news yet, but tell me what's going on with you.
With me?
Yeah, and your arcade collecting and whatever else.
I am currently trying to assemble a Journey. As a matter of fact,
Journey.
Have been, yes.
You mean like the band?
What?
Journey had an arcade game?
You could call it that. I'm not necessarily sure. It's probably one of the worst games ever, as a matter of fact. But it does look nice in the arcade.
I know all about that. So you actually tell us a little bit about your project to get the there's a tape drive conversion unit, right?
Oh, yeah, my board?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's totally a separate beast, but yeah. So you want to hear about that, or do you want to hear about the Journey game?
Well, tell us about the game.
Well, that's been a work in progress. This is probably one of the more complicated builds I've ever done just because of the scarcity of the parts, as you know.
Yeah.
So I ended up trading Fetish Boy for a Journey cabinet about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And since then, I've sort of slowly been on the hunt for, every original part for this thing. And I think I got my last piece of it like a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a work in progress.
So now the time is to assemble.
Mm-hmm. I have to start putting it together. I tested the board. Everything works. So I just have to, find the time to start actually assembling this thing and
excellent
art on it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks.
You have the esteemed privilege of being the first guest on the show.
I know. I'm really happy about it.
It's really great. So, before we get into interviewing you, tell us a little. Are you doing anything cool like video games, or have you been like modding anything? What have you been?
I'm always doing cool stuff.
Okay.
I don't collect arcade machines. I think
that's okay.
But yeah, what have I been doing? I don't know.
We don't discriminate.
What's that?
We don't discriminate.
I know. I appreciate that. I don't know. I always have something going on.
Good.
I don't know. You want to talk about like electronic stuff or something?
Yeah, no, like Neo Geo, whatever. What do we got going?
Well, I think right now I have a new sound amplifier to actually install in my Sega Genesis called the Mega Amp.
So
that's
wait a minute.
That's
like a real like a Sega Genesis console?
Yeah. It's been well documented that the original the very first Sega Genesis that has the HD graphics text written on top of it has the best sounding Yamaha FM synthesis chip in it, right? And since that system came out, Sega pretty much they kept doing cost reduction.
Yeah,
on every console that came out, and the audio circuitry in it kept getting simpler and simpler and simpler. And then by the time you got to like the last model of Sega Genesis units, the sound quality was kind of atrocious.
So the Model 1, with the 16-bit logo on the front,
that specifically says high definition graphics, because there was a second version that didn't have that.
Okay, cool. I don't know if I have that one. I actually have a first gen in a box somewhere.
So, but the funny thing is, the system that has the best audio output actually is known for having the worst video output.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the later versions of what's known as the Model 2 Sega Genesis units are known for having the absolute best video output. Especially if you use composite video, if you're a peasant and you use composite video, but if you're using RGB, it's fantastic. So what this Mega Amp does is that it acts as an equalizer. It makes all the systems sound as good as that first original Sega Genesis.
Interesting. So you're applying that to one of your Genesis consoles?
Yeah, I have it sitting here. I haven't really done anything with it yet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But my Neo Geo.
Yeah.
I built my own consoleized Neo Geo system.
I mean, that's basically an arcade system in your house.
It is. It's a JAMA board, and it is one of those systems that I've just lusted after my entire life. The big red cabinets, you'd see them everywhere, and I loved them. So I bought it's the MV1C. It was the last revision of the Neo Geo that came out.
Okay.
In 1998, the board. It's a single slot. And it's a top loading slot. So when you have the board mounted in a cabinet, it sits, usually on the side, or if you put it in the bottom, the cartridge slides straight down into it, like a typical kind of game console. So that being said, it's become very popular for people to take this particular model of board and turn it into a game console. And I took an old project box and cut a hole in the top for the cartridges, because the cartridges for a Neo Geo game
are huge.
They're bigger than a VHS tape.
Yeah.
So you cut that out, you wire up everything for the video output. I do all of my stuff straight RGB out to a SCART plug, and then that goes into either my CRT television set or one of my video upscalers. Anyway, so I have that. That's my baby, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, you like it a lot. You like that case. But
yeah, no, I mean, it's really cool. If I was gonna build my own console, I'd be like, that's what I want to do, And I
remember.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan. No,
I was just going to say. I remember after we're talking about this, I remember seeing maybe a year or two ago there was someone selling like a $700 oak box Neo Geo, and I wanted it really bad.
Analog Interactive used to do those.
Interlog? Who would I what now?
Analog Interactive. They're the guys who do their thing is now they do the Famicom systems, NES systems made out of aluminum. They cost like $600.
They're awesome though.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Super sexy.
Want one?
Yeah.
But I still have my top loader NES, and I bought one of those cartridges that let you play all the games. So
Well, yeah. So the reason I mentioned the Neo Geo on that note of the cartridge plays per game, this week. Out of nowhere, it was announced that there is now a flash cartridge for the Neo Geo.
That is awesome.
This was the system that people were like, you're never going to be able to build a flash cartridge for this system, because there was actually two, every cartridge was actually two boards sandwiched together. And it had 2 actual PCB like fingerboards that went into the slot. For the
Did
game.
they connect to each other inside and then you had a single slot on the bottom, or was it 2 slots? Or
no,
two
slots,
boards?
and there was a ribbon cable that connected.
Okay.
And every game was different because they used all like excessive amounts of bank switching to actually, because the games are huge.
Yeah.
The games were like, back when games were like maybe half a meg, they were pumping out games that were 14, 15, 16 megs. So the cartridges were giant and they had all this bank switching memory. And that's why doing a flash cart forever was like considered impossible. Well, this random company it made a thing called a Neo SD, and it's 100% compatibility guaranteed. And it's kind of got me revisiting my Neo Geo. And then I found another kid who designed a video board, encoder board. And what it does is that it hooks directly into the CPU of the Neo Geo, and it's a lot of soldering, but it's worth it. And what it allows you to do is you can get proper 240p video signal out of it, so you can go and keep the standard resolution. But it will also do 480p output via component video or VGA. So if you want to go into an HDTV,
that's awesome.
So yeah, anyway, so I because of between those two things, I've been revisiting my Neo Geo. The flash cart, however, has got me taking a moment of pause, only because it's $500.
Ouch.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
But that being said, as far as cartridge collecting for my Neo Geo, because I'm collecting the MVS carts, the arcade cartridges, right?
Yeah,
it's the same exact game code as the home cartridge, except the home cartridge has a different pinout and only works in the home cart, and those are super rare. The arcade cartridges over the years have become the cheaper option.
Yeah, weird.
But I've kind of reached the upper limit of what I can actually afford. Because from here on out, I'm into the like $150 a pop for a game.
That's a lot of money.
Cartridge. It is. It adds up. And there's some game cartridges that cost upwards of $1,200, and I'm just not going to go there.
That's a lot of money.
Crazy.
So when you do the math that way, it's like, yeah, 400 is not bad.
My Neo Geo, I think my favorite one right now is Nightmare in the Dark. Do you have that one?
I don't have the original. That is one of those very expensive cartridges. If you have that,
yeah,
and
I do.
Wait a minute. So Dan, you have a Neo Geo, right?
I do.
You have the upright.
Yeah, they're very. Dude, I would be surprised if someone who's super serious about arcade collecting doesn't have a Neo Geo. Adam.
Oh,
yeah, Adam.
Let me sniff a little like Donald Trump right now. I'll determine the winner after the show.
Is there no warrior mightier than I?
So, hey,
it's just one of those super ubiquitous arcade cabinets. That's all.
It's actually really cool, and I'm glad you brought it up. And thanks for sharing your new stuff with us. So I think we should move on and do a little bit of arcade news. It's the arcade news with Dan Reed.
Oh, wow.
That was the Galaga 88 stuff, wasn't it?
It was the Galaga 88 stuff.
I don't know what to say about that. Let's see. So some interesting news. The Merlin DX has been released with the Dragon's Lair and Space Ace upgrade on it. Very soon to feature a Dragon's Lair 2 enhanced version as well.
The Merlin DX is a board set that plays these games on, or these Laserdisc games. You have to explain what that is.
Oh, well, Merlin. So it's essentially a board that replaces the ROM board on a Dragon's Lair or Space Ace or whatever. And it has the ROM sets for each one of those games. In other words, you have a Laserdisc player. You start it up. It asks you if you want to either play Dragon's Lair or Space Ace, and it gives you, different variants of it. You put in the Laserdisc player, and away you go. So that way you don't have to have, a Space Ace, a Dragon's Lair, a Cobra Command, whatever, right?
Firefox.
I was going to say Road Blaster. That's my all-time favorite Laserdisc game.
You've actually seen a Road Blaster? I forgot about that. There was a prototype game of that, wasn't there?
Well, there's an actual game of Road Blaster.
I have Road Blasters by Atari.
Yeah, but it's not Laserdisc.
Oh no, that's the Atari game. No, there's a Laserdisc game called Road Blaster. It's been ported to every system on Earth at some point or another. It's very very fun. It's a car game. You're first person car racing.
Excellent.
Excellent. So this thing finally came out. I've been waiting for it for a long time. And this coupled with the Dexter board, which is created by somebody else entirely, is a Laserdisc replacement board. So essentially you can pull the Laserdisc player out of your cabinet, hook this Merlin DX board up to your Dragon's Lair board, and then hook it up to I don't know what's it called, Dexter. And essentially, you can play just about any game you want without a Laserdisc in it. So
That's pretty awesome, actually.
yeah, it's really cool. So that way you can select between, Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, and not have to worry about having 3 or 4 Laserdisc players on hand or buying a $300 Space Ace disc or whatever. It's pretty cool. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
What else is happening then in the news?
Not much else. Man vs. Snake, the movie, is out on Netflix.
I actually watched that the other night.
Ooh. Thoughts?
Tim, have you seen Man vs. Snake?
I've not. I've scrolled past it.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
It's on Netflix. It's basically today's King of Kong, but a little less controversial, if you ask me.
A little less fabricated history.
Yeah, exactly. A little less phony, I don't know, like wrestling match between Steve and Billy Mitchell.
Sure.
Yeah.
Although you got to admit, when you first saw King of Kong, it was pretty amazing.
It's awesome. It's one of the reasons.
Now the truth, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Let's be honest. It's one of the reasons why many of us got more, I don't know, amped up about collecting.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's Steve Wiebe actually played my Donkey Kong machine at the Mall of America last year, which was pretty awesome. The Mall of America called me up and said, "Hey, we need a Donkey Kong machine. Do you have a Donkey Kong machine we can?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." So I carted my Donkey Kong machine down there and set it up, and I had to remove the, braze kit from it that stored scores, so there was just the virgin boards. And Steve played it for like 8 hours. And then he decided well, go ahead.
Which one of us?
Any of you.
Okay, well, I remember when that. Well, I don't remember. I wasn't living in Minnesota at the time.
Yeah.
But how many? Did they have pretty good turnout for that?
There was a big turnout. It was in the rotunda, and there was a large turnout. It kind of dwindled as he played.
Yeah. But I remember when I first heard about it at the time, I was like, "Oh man, that it was like the same." I think it was like it happening at the same time as the Awesome Games Done Quick stuff was happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh man, that like you're dividing that audience, man. Like if somebody could have just bumped like one day or the other, And
then New Twin Galaxies was there, and they were recording it live and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, but anyway. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Man vs. Snake. Interesting. A game called Nibbler that... Has Fetish Boy done a Nibbler?
Probably.
So, Sean Williams is like this awesome restoration dude in Minnesota, and he does a number of he's done a number of Rockola machines. I don't know if he's done Nibbler or restored Nibbler, so to speak, but he certainly should if he hasn't. And so the whole premise of this is, nobody knows really what this game is about, but there has been a little controversy about who holds the high score. So a lot like King of Kong in that respect. Am I right, Dan?
Yeah, exactly.
So it kind of follows this one guy and his journey to taking the high score. And even though he gets a high score, he basically gets taken away in the end anyway. So...
Yeah, it was strange. It was pretty much the exact same pattern as King of Kong. It reminded me tremendously of King of Kong.
Only Billy Mitchell was less of a
we should say spoilers,
jerk,
right?
Yeah,
like spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert. Billy Mitchell is less of a jerk.
we see the softer side of Billy Mitchell in this movie.
In fact, I think he reads a poem.
A poem?
I don't remember that. Oh my God. I hope that's not true.
Is it about hot sauce?
Oh, there once was a hot sauce from Nantucket. So, Nintendo has a new console coming out called the Switch. Anyone heard of it?
Yeah, I'm still unsure.
I'm actually kind of psyched about it.
Yeah,
I
want to be.
It's an interesting paradigm switch, to use buzzwords.
Yeah.
Um,
Synergy, passionate, etc., etc.
So the thing about it is it's interesting in the sense that Nintendo's always been, I would say since the N64, their bread and butter has always been in the portable market, and they've not stopped making consoles, no. and they really were their home consoles they never recaptured that Super Nintendo level of success until they got to the Wii.
The Wii.
Yeah, it sold like gangbusters. Wii Sports
I have one.
Is the number one
I have a
selling
Wii
game of all time because of how many of those damn systems they sold.
Dan, do you have a Wii?
I do, but I got it free, so it doesn't really count.
But no, it's interesting that they've decided to bridge the gap. Right?
Yeah.
They no longer have a portable system and a home console, which divides their development efforts across studios, and now they just have one system, and it's one system that's running on very common hardware. It's an ARM-based system. It's the same platforms that every one of us has in every one of our phones, our set-top boxes. So developing games for it should be pretty straightforward for third parties.
Yeah.
I kind of saw this one coming though. The Wii U, I have one of those and I love it, by the way. It's actually pretty good.
You actually like that thing?
I do. I love my Wii U. It's probably the console that gets the most play still.
Really?
Yeah.
Of
really
the modern
good.
day stuff. Yeah.
Except you're not going to have a large library to choose from. You know what I mean? You are going to get like 5 games for that thing, and that's pretty much it.
But it's quality. Quality over quantity in that regard.
Okay.
But I wasn't at all surprised with Nintendo's move here. I could kind of tell that they were planning with the Wii U, with this, the controller that comes with it. I sort of felt like this is what they were trying to achieve with the Wii U. So the Switch looks pretty good. I was reading somewhere today that they said it for sure has a touchscreen, which I didn't think it did. So
it says 720p, supports full 10-point direct.
That's
input.
awesome.
So,
I'm terribly worried about the price. I am not paying $400 for this thing.
I don't think it's
no. If you're not going to, it's going to be. You heard it here first. It's going to be $299.
Yeah.
For the regular edition, and then they're going to have a $349 deluxe edition, which is exactly what they did with the Wii U.
I heard it's really highly customizable. Like, people are already trying to figure out ways of what they can do to make this thing cool.
Well, you've already got so the base system comes with the 2 Joy-Con controllers that slide off on either side, right?
Yeah, that's cool. I like
the larger.
I kind of like that because you can split them off, right? You can have 2 people using those controllers, and they actually showed like a scenario where 4 people with 2 systems were like interacting.
Right, and I think relevant to the to your guys' show. This hopefully will bring back some aspect of social gaming, of being in the same room and having that competitive gaming. Yeah, because I've always said, like, when I in the 90s, like in the early 90s, playing Street Fighter 2, you would never dare say the horrible things that people say to each other online these days because you're going to get your butt kicked.
Yeah.
But secondly, there was a sense of respect because you were both there and you were playing a game and you were having fun.
For sure.
And there's a chance this could maybe bring some of that back a little bit. I would welcome it. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah. I love the social aspect of arcade collecting is why I think I do it. It becomes like people come over and they play the arcade games for 20-30 minutes and then we just sit around and talk. So
it's our generation's version of the hot rod in the garage.
Yeah.
You come over, you fire it up, you rev the engine a few times, and then you sit around and drink beer and talk.
Sure. Yeah, totally. So along with that, there's an NES not as exciting, but the NES Classic Edition is coming out. Nintendo's releasing a system with a bunch of Nintendo games on it for like $60. That looks just like the old system, but uses an original style controller.
Yeah,
I like it.
It
Looks good.
Miniature version of the system. Yeah,
Yeah,
and those controllers are Wii and Wii U compatible too.
Yeah, they have the Wii and the Wii U interface. They don't have the old Nintendo interface in them anymore. 30 games come in that thing.
Yep, and I'm saying like it's gonna be 3 days before somebody gets that thing hacked and figures out how to load ROMs on it.
Well, for sure, yeah.
3 days on the outside, right? Like,
yeah. All right. So, any more news you want to share with us, Dan?
Negative Ghost Rider. I don't think there's anything else interesting out there right now. There will be some Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters original art, which is much needed, coming from Rich at thisoldgame.com.
Oh, cool.
Soon.
Excellent.
Yes, indeed. So look forward to that if you have one of those machines.
All right. Cool. Well, let's move on to the next subject, which is our guest interview. Questions for Tim.
oh gosh.
All right. Give us a little bit of background on your video game history.
I've been playing them my whole life, honestly. Well, I came into the world and my parents already had, my earliest memories, my parents already had an Atari 20 VCS.
Okay.
And my grandparents also had a VCS, which is really, I guess that's really weird. I hear like everyone in my family had an Atari in their house. It was really funky. So yeah, I mean, shout out
to my friend Jason Heiser, whose birthday it is today. He just got a total retro CRT television and a heavy sixer and 30 games of Atari VCS games for his birthday. So happy birthday, Jason.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. That's a good haul.
Yeah. So anyway, continuing on.
Yeah, no, yeah, those, I mean, that's so I've just my entire life. It's funny, you grow up and you have all the various systems and stuff. And I it's looking back, I had so many different game consoles and stuff. And then, obviously there was the trips to the arcade whenever we would go to the mall. Cause I grew up in upstate New York. So it was
whereabouts?
Do you know where Syracuse is?
Yeah, absolutely.
About an hour and a half north of that, or about an hour north of that.
Cool. Yeah.
About 33 miles south of Canada. I was closer to Canada than I was New York City.
What was the name of the town?
The name of the town is Carthage. It's still there.
Excellent.
But,
it's still there.
No, so I mean, growing up, we had all the, we would get various consoles over the years and stuff like that. And then there was always the trip to the arcade in the mall or the pizza place uptown, or there was a gas station. Very fond memories of going to the convenience store that was across the street from my childhood friend's house, and we would get slush puppies, which I don't know if you guys had here in the Midwest.
We had Ices, which are probably similar.
Okay, so it kind of a knockoff of Ices.
Okay.
They were different. So Ices are really, really fine shaved ice. Slush puppies were like hard chunks of ice, like mini ice cubes.
Impressive.
Anyway, so yeah, we'd go there, get slush puppies, and play Chase HQ, which was they had the Chase HQ arcade machine there, and we just really enjoyed it. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I've been playing games.
And you did a little bit of you've done podcasting before, and you've had your own show, several shows actually. And didn't you work for some magazine for a while? 2005, I started a podcast called The Widget Games Tech and Whatever, and it was literally just my friends and I sitting down and talking about just games and technology and everything else. And it was about 3 months into the show. iTunes had just come out for Windows and just launched their podcast platform, and we ended up on there, and we were in the top 100. That's pretty cool.
Don't know how that happened. Yeah, we got approached. I got an email from the editor of PC Gamer magazine, and I actually don't remember the name of the fellow's or publisher at the time, associate publisher. And he's like, "Hey, I love you guys' show. We're forming a podcast network. Do you want to be part of that?" And we're like, yeah, okay. And we, advertising deals and all that fun stuff. So we had that. And I think the highest we ever climbed, we were like number 32 on the iTunes 100. So
That's pretty high.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
it's pretty high, right? Like
It's like top 40, right?
Anyway,
You had a hit
yeah.
like a Bruce
yeah,
Springsteen
we were
hit.
we were the Oingo Boingo of our generation. So
Oh man.
And then what happened to that whole thing?
well, lightning in a bottle, that went away. But I've done so many different shows over the years. It's ridiculous. It's
Cool.
been a lovely long ride. So
Well, we appreciate you being on the show. So what made you decide to work in an arcade in your early 20s, late teens?
So there's actually, it's interesting, right? So a lot of people were like, I don't know, I had a job and I like video games. But so with me, what it was, I was working in a video store. And
You mean where you could rent videos?
Yeah, VHS tapes. Yeah.
We were just talking about this today. Like, I miss when you could walk into a video store, pick up a VHS tape, and read the back of Chud.
Sure.
And
Please be kind. Rewind.
exactly. But
Well,
it's
this was a purchase video store, not a rental store.
okay.
Yeah.
Wait, they had those?
Yeah, of course we had those.
I didn't. I
You
don't.
gotta remember, this was like the mid to late 90s.
Well, see, I mean, I remember going to Best Buy and you could buy videos, but there was actually just like a video. You could buy videos place.
yeah,
Sure.
Yo,
dude,
in New
Suncoast
York
Video,
State.
there were a ton of them.
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Did they
Music
rent?
Land.
Not-
I mean, I don't know. All
Oh.
kinds of places sold
Interesting.
videos.
Okay,
Yeah,
so anyway,
the
you
place
worked,
I worked at was called Saturday Matinee,
okay,
and that's what we sold. We sold VHS, we sold Laserdisc, and DVD.
Beta.
had, like, just come out. Oh, beta was long gone. And DVD had like just squeaked out, and we had like a small DVD rack.
Okay.
We had monitors all over the store, and like we would just literally like the movie Clerks with like Randall's working in the video store and just watching whatever he wants on the screens. That was us. And we would just like, and it would like the people I met there, man, like the most.
Did you sell
colorful
laser
group of
discs?
Weirdos. We did sell laser discs. Yeah.
Awesome.
We had a couple of regulars that would come in, and like every new laser disc they would come in and pre-order.
I was one of those
And-
regulars.
Yep. And then there was like a mournful, like we poured some out for our homies, like sadness when like Titanic, the last Laserdisc came out,
I would not have bought that.
a lot of people did. A lot of people did. So, but anyway, so I worked at the video store, and the company that owned the video store was Transworld Entertainment, and they were a company based out of New York City.
Okay.
And the mall I worked in had a Saturday Matinee, which was the video store, and then they had what was the name of it? Record Town,
Oh,
which was their music store.
okay.
And they decided that it was too much money maintaining two different stores. They're going to merge all of the stores together into one store called FYE, for Your Entertainment.
Okay.
And they still exist today. There's actually, weirdly enough, there's actually only one in all of Minnesota, and it's in the Burnsville Mall, which is
That
really
figures. That's like where the last Aladdin's castle was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, they were merging them all together, and they kind of offer all the employees, like, yeah, obviously, like, your stores are closing. If you want to come work with us, it's fine. You're automatically in. And they said, like, yeah, we've partnered with this company out of Boston called, oh my God, why am I drawing a blank in the name? Dream Machine.
Oh,
They don't exist anymore.
okay.
Yeah, they're an arcade operator that doesn't exist anymore. Who knew? Yeah, they're partnering with this company, and they were going to all their FYE stores, or no, they were still, how were they? They were still called them Record Town for a little while. But anyway, they were going to have an arcade attached to them, like separately, right? So you're going to be able to freely walk between the two stores.
What was it? Is the name of the arcade the same or?
Yeah, well, so when it first opened, it was Record Town,
Okay.
right? And then they had, like, next to it was the Record Town Game Room.
Oh,
And it was in the mall, and they did all new construction for it. So anyway, I was like, I don't want to work in a CD store. That sounds like my personal hell. I'm like, I want to work in the arcade. I love video games,
awesome.
because we were always going to the arcade anyway, because the mall already had two arcades in it.
Do you remember the name of those ones or?
Actually, I do not remember the name of the second one. It did not last long, but the first one that was the childhood arcade I always used to go to. Had been there my whole life, as far back as I could remember, was called Just Fun. and I still have some of their damn tokens. I still do.
Awesome.
I still have tokens for my arcade as well. And yeah, so they were in the mall, and then we were opening up our thing. I was like, yeah, I want to work there. That's gonna be fantastic. So that's it. That's how I started working at the arcade.
Awesome. So walk us through a typical day in the arcade.
Oh boy. See, anyway, like we talked about previously, like this is you're reactivating like memories that I may break down and cry a little bit. I just want you to know that. So a typical day was, you get there. We were in a mall, so we usually we kept mall hours, so we didn't open till 9 a.m. on weekdays.
What year is this, Tim?
This would have been 1998 at the time. So this is like this was at the tail end of everything.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this is where you picked up your affinity for Neo Geo, because I do remember seeing Neo Geo.
That was long before that. Before that. We actually we did not have a Neo Geo machine in our arcade.
Well, actually, Neo Geo kind of came out in the late 80s, didn't it?
1990 is when it hit. Yeah.
1990. Okay. Yeah.
And the last Neo Geo game came out in 2004.
Okay.
Samurai Shodown 5. Just random aside there. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Anyway, yeah. So the typical day was you get in there. We only did collections on the machines once a week because, again, late 90s, they didn't make that much damn money. So you get in there, and the first order of business was kind of go through, flip the games on, and make sure everything worked, right? And not everybody did this because no one really cared, but I loved it. That was the only part of my day I actually really enjoyed. So I'd get in there, like I would get to work about a half hour early, flip all the games on, and just literally go through and play every game. Okay. If it was a fighting game, which a lot of them were, you go and try out each player's side to see, make sure they both work. Then I have my little sheet. I went down, check everything out. If it came up a button was broken or like a switch need replacing, do that really quick and make a note of it. So we just had a whole, we had just a whole room of spare parts in the back.
Nice.
So we just had a big.
Were you ever tempted to take some of those spare parts?
No. Oh God, no. Are you kidding me? A 75-cent button from Haps was worth losing your job.
What?
Plus, what would you put them in at that point? You didn't even have a game, so it's like, okay, this isn't.
Well, no, I had by that time I was building arcade sticks for using on my game consoles. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
So,
yeah. Okay. So we kind of talked. So what was a typical day in the arcade?
So yeah, going back to the fact we were in a mall, and there was actually a law that on a weekday, before 2 p.m., minors had to be accompanied by an adult.
Which is not unlike the Mall of America right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's all kinds of laws preventing from teenagers from just walking around.
Yeah, those random ne'er-do-well kids who want to play video games before school or instead of school. But we were also where we were actually relatively close to a very large military base that's still there. So during the day we'd have random, a lot of soldiers would come in. You'd see a lot of soldiers come in at 10 o'clock because they're just getting off of whatever their shift was, right? Yeah. And they just want to go, kill some time there. So we'd have random stragglers, very quiet days. On a weekday,
did you open the store? Did you open the store up?
Most times, yeah.
So you have to unlock those gates and
Oh yeah, we had a big drop down gate with a key, yeah.
And did you have to clean the games before, or did you have to do any prep?
Yeah, I mean, so generally, the closing crew were technically the ones responsible for cleaning, right?
Oh, okay.
More often than not, that didn't happen though. I mean, you get to the end of the day, you're just sick of it. You just want to leave, right?
Yeah, exactly. Count the money.
We had a tile.
Get out.
Tile in the front. Yeah, the money was the most important part. If you want to leave the games dirty, fine. The money, always count the money. So we always had there was tile in the front of the store. So that was number one priority. Mop that up.
Oh.
I didn't. We had the mop. Crazy we had this crazy outer space carpeting all through the floor or the store. It was this deep dark blue and it had planets all over it and stuff. And it reacted to black lights because we had black lights in there too.
Well, that's the carpet that all the collectors are looking for their arcade rooms, right, Dan?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the hotness? Should have saved a square. I could have sold that on eBay.
Tim, what was your favorite game?
Oh boy. I don't know. Like favorite game that we had.
What was it like? Tekken and Street Fighter and
well,
did you have
so you
classics
gotta remember
at
the
all,
late
or
'90s.
what?
So we're dealing with like Tekken 3 was very, very hot. At the
Really?
time. Yeah. Soul Calibur had just come. Like is in '98. So Soul Calibur had just come out, and that saw a ton of play.
Was that a Japanese only game for the PS1?
Or not Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur had just that was actually a launch game on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, awesome game.
Yeah. But no, that was during the time where like 3D fighting games were really like ruling the roost, right? Fighting games were still the game that you went to the arcades to play. And it was like the Tekken series, Soul Calibur, the Virtua Fighter games. And then we also had like all of the kind of Capcom games. So like Street Fighter Alpha 3 and it would have been Alpha 2 at the time. Alpha 3 wasn't out yet. And then we had like Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Street Fighter and all
Teenage
those games.
Mutant Ninja Turtles, Simpsons.
Those were gone by that time. Those games were earlier. Those were 90, 91.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, those were long gone.
Were there any classic games like from the early 80s, or was it just like totally barren?
No, it was that we had everything was new. Everything was whatever was at the time.
What was the latest racing game at the time?
The newest racing game we ever had. Oh man, I want to say it was like Cruisin' World was probably the newest racing game.
That's actually kind of a cool game. Actually, I like that game. That's the one where we had
a lot of them. We had a 4-player Cruisin' World.
Okay.
Linked.
Oh, cool.
And then we had a Sega Rally Championship, which was older. That was like 94, 95. 2-player of that. And then we had
sorry.
We had a Namco Cyber Cycles cabinet. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those.
No.
2-player side by side. Each player had about I think it was like a 19-inch CRT in front of them, and you had a full size plastic motorcycle, like a Honda, I guess you call them a crotch rocket or something like that. Full size that you actually got on and leaned left and right.
Yeah. So those have been out for a while though. Because you had Hang On, Super Hang On.
Well, Hang On, sure. But this was like, at the time, cutting edge, 640 by 480 3D graphics, like full polygonal 3D graphics.
Cool.
So we have one of those.
All right.
So yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I was just going to ask Tim, how come no nostalgia, no desire to collect any of those things? You've never had a cabinet of your own?
Well, I have had cabinets, but I should also point out I have lived all over the United States. I've moved a lot. So I just don't carry them around. I did actually, weirdly enough, one of the arcade machines I had, and this was like in the early 2000s, I bought it off of friend of a friend who was like, I got this old cocktail. I don't know if you want it. And it was a Star Invaders game. Which was a Galaga clone. It was like a 3-in-1. You had 3 different types of gameplay, and like I've looked on K-Love more than a few times, and apparently the game's like there's like no documentation on it, like no screenshots, no nothing, and it makes me wish I would have had all that still.
Yeah, sometimes those guys like to get that stuff too.
Yeah, because it was put out. I remember it was being really weird. Like I was like, it's fun, it's free. Like yeah, go on, bring this bring this cocktail cabinet up into my second floor apartment. That's fine. Yeah, it was Potomac Mortgage Company. I remember was the maker of it, and it always struck me as really weird, like a mortgage company. That's really odd. So
is it like part of your?
Well, for me, like I just want to I want to make sure to answer the question. It's like, I have nostalgia for them, but I don't want to own a cabinet. Right, like I have a Super Gun. I'm more than happy to like take arcade board and slap it on and play it and all that kind of stuff. But just no desire to own a cabinet. I think if I did own a cabinet, the only kind of cabinet I would want, I do really, really, really want a Japanese candy cabinet. That would be pretty fantastic.
That'd be kind of cool. I know a guy.
I know you know a guy. I know a guy too. I know him, sort of know him. You've actually met him in person though. I've only given him a lot of money over the years. That's so.
Here you go, Tim. Just a little bit of information on your Star Invaders. It is produced by Potomac Mortgage Company in 1980.
Yes. Yeah,
and it's so rare. It says there are only 2 of them recorded on Clav.
That's
So there you
awesome.
go.
So weird. And I had one, and I couldn't tell you where it is.
Any screenshots?
Nothing. It was literally it was a Galaxian clone.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Well,
So-
everybody had some sort of their Space Invaders. And,
cocktail too. That's funny.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
In your arcade days, were there any sort of shenanigans that went on?
So this is the part where I shatter people's illusions about working in arcade. All right.
And that could be like behind the scenes, like bookkeeping, or that could be like people just trying to steal tokens.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Okay. Yeah, I know you know these stories. You're leading me here.
Sorry.
Okay, so you got to remember this place. It's there. It's open to the public.
Yeah.
And especially in a shopping mall back in the heyday of the shopping mall, where there was a ground round right around the corner where people would go and get drunk and then come into our arcade.
Oh, that's not good.
Ground round. Does that date?
No,
this
just
entire story?
drunken arcades is generally not a good mix.
It's bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely shenanigans that had gotten up to. One of so we'd get kids in there. I remember one day, every day just kind of sucked a little bit after a while. And this mother walked up to me. I'm just standing there, mind my own business. The place is full of kids. It's a weekend. It's like first thing Saturday morning. And this woman walks up to me and she goes, "My kid had an accident in the front of the store." And I'm thinking well, what, did he slip or something? She's like, no, he pulled his pants down and went all over your game there, the ticket game in the front. And because we had a lot of redemption games, right? Because that was the guaranteed money maker. Anything that spit out tickets pretty much brought in money. And this kid, I couldn't even tell you how old he was. He just straight went to the bathroom right at the machine, and it just got everywhere inside.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't even.
That's awful.
I was flabbergasted. I was like, "Oh my god! What am I gonna do with this?" And I was the only one working, so I had to clean it up.
That is.
And the mother and her kid took off. Didn't even say sorry. They were gone. So meanwhile, I've got this. Oh god, what was it? It was a ticket. It was a ticket redemption game, and it was an alleyway game, and it was pink, and it had a wheel in the back, and you shot the token down. Well, the quarter. You shot the quarter down the back, and then you hit on the wheel, and then it spit out tickets. Anyway, this kid peed inside of it, filled the thing with urine. I don't. It must have been a 45-year-old man from how much urine was there.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, the roll of tickets was soaked. It was all through the coin box, everywhere. So the only thing that saved that game is that it was the power supply and the board and all the electronics were actually mounted on the back of the machine. There was actually nothing in the machine. The machine was only large because it had to have the alleyway. So thankfully, the only thing that got hit was that.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
So beyond people actually. Did you see?
I have a lot of bathroom stories. I have a lot of people
defecation,
doing bodily functions.
There was one story on Clav not that long ago about someone actually taking a dump in the ball pit.
We didn't have a ball pit,
which would be gross.
But we did find a.
I would not want to be the guy to clean that up.
Excrement on the floor.
Are you kidding me?
Well, nope. We did find human excrement.
Oh my god.
There was we had an arcade game as a 2-player light gun game called Police Trainer, and that was actually a really fun game.
Police pooper.
Yeah. And my friend and I remember Brian was the name of the fellow, and he was working and he walked up to me just ghost white face and he's like there is bleep in front of the policeman training machine, and I think he'd worked there for 3 weeks, and I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's fresh.
Oh, God.
And what? And we went over there, and sure enough, someone, we don't even know how. We're like, how did this happen?
Oh my God.
We kept trying, it was disgusting, but we were trying to theorize, how does that, it was in the wide open space.
Well,
like,
first of all, how do you get your pants down without nobody noticing and squatting in the middle of the room?
The exact conversation we were having. We were thinking the only thing we could come up with is they were having so much fun at the game. They just kind of squirted it, shook their leg, and let it roll down.
Oh my God.
That was pretty bad.
Oh.
So, and
Sorry
then there was the
about that.
cocaine deals
That was
inside of the
probably me.
Jurassic Park machine.
The cocaine deals inside the Jurassic Park machine.
Yep. So we had a, and again, shattering illusions, kids. That's what I'm here to do.
Dan, wait. Hold up. Dan, what game was big enough that you could have a cocaine deal with in, say, 1983?
Maybe Discs of Tron.
That'd be an upright. So
environmental
you'd be
ones.
like, either you'd be.
No, there's a disc of Tron you can get inside of and have a.
Oh,
Yeah, I was in the environmental cabinet, right? So EDOT.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing could like only hold like two people standing up. Were there curtains? There are no curtains. Like, hey Dan, you want to buy some cocaine?
I don't know about you, Adam, but I've never been in an arcade that's had more than like 4 lights in the whole joint.
Yeah, that's another thing to point out. We were brightly lit.
Oh, really?
We were neon.
So, was that a thing in the late 90s where they just
that was a safety thing.
Okay.
That was to try and get away from the whole like only crazy drug dealers hang out in the arcade.
Even though crazy drug dealers still
Didn't work. Yeah.
hung out in the arcade. So,
But no, we had a sit down Jurassic Park Lost World arcade cabinet from
that
Sega.
was like the one where you could sit side by side,
Yep, side by side. You had a 50-inch projection screen in front of you,
like a bench seat.
front projection. Yep, bench seat, curtains that drew,
Oh, nice.
and super dark tinted plastic in the back.
I would have
So,
just
like,
went
you
in
could
there to
see the
make
game.
out.
I'm sure someone did at some point, but we found out that the cops came in and there were people dealing drugs inside that machine. Like
Funny.
they were like actually go in there and do the exchange, and that was fun. God.
Oh my gosh! So you had a bust in your own arcade?
Yep, had a bust, and that was not my. Weirdly enough, that was not my first illicit activity bust in an arcade that I was inadvertently involved in. Weirdly enough, this is way back, right? So this is like 1993. I was in Myrtle Beach, and there was down there. Most of the arcades that were on the beach were they were underneath the buildings that were like just off the boardwalk and not too far away from the actual shoreline. And they were all these like giant they were technically outdoor arcades, but they were just open to the elements. And they were under the buildings. Anyway, my friend and I, we were hanging out in one, and I can't remember what game had just come out, and we were playing. I think it was like Virtua Fighter 2 or something. And there was like a prostitute bust. Well, we were there.
What?
Very weird.
What?
Yeah.
A bus?
Yeah, and they
How did you know they were
showed up,
prostitutes,
They
Tim?
closed the gates down. They were checking IDs of people as they left.
Dan is laughing.
No, I just want to know the address, please.
Yeah, that was funky.
Funky.
I guess like maybe that answers Dan's question of like why I have nostalgia for it. Arcades and my memories are so intertwined with just horrible things.
Oh my god! So what was the ratio of pinball machines to arcades back then?
We had 3 pinball machines.
Okay, that's how
And
many
they
I
didn't
have.
change out very often because they were a pain in the butt.
Oh, which ones?
We had, well, let's see. The mainstay, the guy we always had because everyone always put money in it, was Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, I kind of like that.
Yep, and I was sad because our actual Creature statue, not the statue, there's the hologram in the playfield.
Yep.
Right. Our motor for that broke, the one that like makes it swing back and forth. And I couldn't get our manager to I couldn't get the district manager to give us the money to fix it because the motor was like, I can't remember how much it was, but they didn't want to pay to fix it. So
Nice.
Our Creature didn't move. So, but that was a fun one. We also had a Whirlwind.
That's actually kind of a sought after game.
Yeah. We had that. Star Trek: The Next Generation Pinball.
That thing is freaking annoying. Data East, right?
Yeah, that was Bally Midway.
Was it?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
The regular Star Trek, not Next Generation. That one I think. may have been the 80s, but, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
But that thing broke down constantly. Because it had the two shooters in the front that were like rotated.
Wait, so this was Star Trek, the original pinball?
The Next Generation pinball machine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what year it came out, but it was pretty beat up when we got it. So
93.
But thankfully we had myself, and then we had a senior technician that came in like once a week to fix stuff that I couldn't handle fixing. Yeah, he loved pinball as much as I did. So like our pinball machines, like we would get them in pretty rough shape because they were kind of like, you know, all of our games were on a circuit, right? Like they'd you know, we'd get these games in and then we'd swap these games out. So whenever we got a pinball machine, and a lot of times they were really rough, and we would do our best to like polish the play fields up.
Did you ever find people like actually abusing the machine, like totally punching it, or the pinball machines?
Oh, totally. Yeah, pinball machines especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, people just beat the crap out of those things. And then it tilts and they're like, the machine broke, give me my quarterback. And it's like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
That was a question I was going to ask you too. Like, how many times did you have people like trying to, well, my machine took my token?
Constantly. Well, and by that time we were on those solid black plastic mechs, and you know the name of them.
I'm an X, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They were black with a little red logo, IMONEX.
Zero moving parts in those things.
Yep.
Most of the games that converted over that, there were still a couple of mechanical weighted ones in like some of the redemption machines, the older redemption machines.
Yeah.
By and large, it was those black mechs, and we'd constantly get people saying like, yeah, it was always the funniest when it happened at the like early in the day.
Yeah. And
someone would pick like they'd go and play like we had one of the sit down original Sega Outrun cabinets, 1986, and it actually had the motorized car that swung back and forth.
Oh yeah,
you know, it had the screen attached to the car. We actually had one of those. No one ever played the darn thing. It took up a ton of floor space. And I loved it when the people would be like, "I put a quarter in, nothing happened," and then you go to check it, and they're like, "There's literally no money in the machine. You know, there's nothing stuck in it," and you're like, "No, there's nothing. No, you did not put money in this machine." So you had to call them. You have to. Yeah. You're very guarded with that, man. People like they would try and rip you off. Something as simple as a quarter. They try and rip you off.
So it's kind of interesting. You've had a lot of memories working the arcade.
Yeah.
Did you play music?
I could not wait when I quit the job. How's that? I was so burned out on arcades.
Yeah. So. And then I'm never playing an arcade game again, or at least not working in one.
No, not working. Well, by the time I left, like I think that place went another year. When I worked there, the Just Fun arcade that had been there my whole life, that shut down. And two of the people that worked there came on to my staff, because by the time I left, I was running the joint. I hired them on. So we were the only arcade around. And then about a year and a half after I left, the place shuttered completely.
Oh,
so
No.
that's sad. So.
Grover, was that Grover?
It was Grover. Yep, that was Grover. Yeah.
Okay.
So, go ahead. Go.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy
In arcades, right?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Arcade games, super fun. Working in one, yeah. At least during the time I did, not so much. So,
but okay, so that's awesome. So, if you don't regret it though, right? This is one thing you had to do, and you could talk about it.
And some of the friends I made there, I'm still friends with to this day.
That's cool.
It was fun. It was what it was. You have those jobs where at the time you're like, oh, this job sucks. I can't wait till I never have to do this again. But now you look back at it and it's like the simplicity of it all.
Yeah.
You know, what were you there to do? You were there to make sure people put quarters in games and clean up stuff. You know?
And that didn't change for many years, even through, like the 70s and the gold age, whatever. That was the whole thing. So, and people went there to socialize,
Yeah. I mean, largely, yeah. We were still kind of a hangout because, again, that was kind of when malls were still a thing, right? Because I mean, even malls themselves are dying thing these days. Kids just don't go to malls. And we would still get the people. Like you'd have your Monday through Thursday pretty dead, Friday night super busy, Saturday insanely busy all day every day, and then Sunday was kind of hit or miss, depending. And especially during the holidays were crazy. because you know the holiday shopping, everyone is there. This is before Amazon. This is before anybody did online.
Before
online
Black
shopping.
Friday.
Yeah. Well, no, Black Friday was still very much a thing.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, so like I worked in the arcade, and like so when the video and music store would open up at like 6 a.m. on Black Friday, we didn't bother. We're like, we're an arcade. No one's gonna come in there. So we didn't have to get there till like 9 o'clock. It was great.
9 is still early. Who in the hell is in an arcade at 9 a.m.?
We opened at 9 every day. That's when the mall opened. But it was quiet. I mean, I sat there and I'd
be lucky to get my parents to say, "Hey, can you bring me to the arcade like around noon?"
No, I'd go to the arcade. I get a bagel and I get a Mountain Dew because I was 20. That's what I ate. And
bagel and Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, yep. And I just hang out for the first.
They didn't have Livewire then, did they?
No, long before Livewire. We were still coming off Crystal Pepsi, man. I gotta. So.
Oh, crystal meth. Oh no, I mean Pepsi. Yeah. So, Dan, any more questions for our esteemed guest?
Nothing I can think of. It's covered pretty much everything. Pretty good.
Well, we could talk about the actual process of scraping the money out of the games. What that was like.
Let's do that. Let's close on that one. So what was it like actually? So I'm gonna have a guest in a couple of episodes that worked in the bowels of arcades in the heyday of the golden age in the 80s, and he was talking about emptying like Miss Pac-Man twice a night.
Oh yeah. We never did that. we would empty the games. The games got emptied once a week. Cool. And it was always on Sunday mornings because the mall opened
once a week. Sundays. You didn't worry about them like overflowing? That
was not a problem. No, that was not a problem. We so once a week. So it was Saturday or Sunday mornings because the mall didn't actually open till 10 or 11 on Sundays. I was late. Anyway, so we would get there at 8 o'clock on Sundays. And what you do is every machine had a zipper bag that had a piece of duct tape with the name of the game written on it. And you just go around and you throw the bag down in front of the machine. And they usually had 2 or 3 people helping me. And everybody would just dump the contents of the coin bucket into the machine or into the bag. And then you take the bag out back and we had a giant quarter counting machine. And the thing is we use quarters, but we also had tokens. The machines would function on tokens. So if we had birthday parties where people could come in and pay, X number of dollars an hour per person, and they got like a bag, like technically unlimited tokens, right? So, but we just kept giving tokens. So the tokens would separate from the quarters naturally, and that way it didn't screw up our counts. And then what we do is you'd say, okay, well, the Cruising USA had, 400 quarters in it or whatever. And that was it. And then you just kind of keep track of your numbers that way. And that was it, and then you make giant bags of quarters. I remember, what was it? Like, I think we did $100 bags, and then we had a big safe in the back. We chucked those in there. And that was that. But yeah, we never had a game fill up. That was not a thing. By the time, arcades just weren't that popular by then. I mean, by that time, you'd go to the arcade and you would play Tekken 3, and it would be hot for a week because then the week after it was out on the PlayStation and it was arcade perfect, Oh
yeah.
What was your average haul? Do you remember? Was it $300-400 a week or what?
I think it's probably more than that. Otherwise, none of us would have had jobs. I don't remember, honestly. It was a while ago.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I think that could kind of, I don't know. Do you have any more questions for our guest, Mr. Dan Reed?
Negative Ghost Rider.
Well, cool. I really appreciate you being on the show, Tim.
Yeah, man. I'm glad this was, I'm glad I got to tell these stories to somebody who might, someone out there might care. Who knows?
Yeah, it's great. So everybody, this is the premiere episode of Arcade Radio. Thanks for listening in. If you want to email us at react@arcaderadio.com, and that's RCADE radio.com. Call and leave us comments and questions on the game line. That's 612-548-GAME or 612-548-4263. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/arcaderadio, and Twitter @arcaderadio. If you're listening live, you've already got the YouTube URL, and coming soon we'll be streaming on iTunes. So thanks for listening in, and we'll see you on the next show. Thanks for listening in.